Hi, and welcome to the Mechanics and Usage course, a complete, comprehensive grammar course designed to run concurrently with Mr. McNair's AP English Language and Composition class. So let's start with what is this? Probably a question a lot of you have. I didn't talk about it much in class. This is a Learning Hub course. You're at the Learning Hub right now looking at it, and it's designed to supplement your AP Lang curriculum. It runs concurrently with what we do in and out of class, and it is mandatory. As I said a moment ago, this is a comprehensive grammar curriculum from basic concepts to advanced usage and structural rules. We'll also cover sophisticated syntactic constructions and writing style guidelines, and also some revising and editing strategies. At the end of the day, the bottom line I had when I was creating this course was that I want this to build better writers by teaching students to write better sentences. It's a part of your composition education that teachers at the high school level really don't touch on enough, really don't emphasize enough. So why grammar? You've done a lot of grammar in elementary school and middle school, and it didn't seem to ever be that important to the teacher. So why grammar? Why should it be important to you? Well, effective writing starts at the sentence level. It's true when you really think about it. The best writers aren't the best writers because they come up with the best stories or have the coolest characters or whatever. It's the fact that they can craft the most elegant, smooth, clear, profound prose. Effective student writers, they have great prose. I have never read a student's writing that could communicate profound ideas, but that student couldn't write great sentences. And this is because sophisticated ideas cannot be communicated with unsophisticated language. It's just not possible. And vice versa. You cannot use sophisticated language to communicate unsophisticated ideas, or at least you can't accidentally do that. There is a direct link between thought and written expression. The more precise and fluid your written expression is, the more precise and fluid is your thinking. And this makes sense because when you know more words for things and when you know more ways to put those words together, you just have a deeper understanding of existence, because the way that we conceptualize things is through words, even in our brains without uttering anything. So here, another one of my goals is if you can improve your writing, I think it will help you just naturally improve your thinking. It'll help kind of dispel this myth that I've encountered among students before who think that they have some thought that they just can't get out of their brains. Well, guess what? If you think you understand something but just can't figure out how to say it or write it down in an essay, then guess what? You don't actually understand it at all. This is a question I'm probably going to get quite a bit. Haven't we studied enough grammar already? I'm here to tell you that you haven't even scratched the surface. In-depth writing conventions, grammar and that sort of grammar rules, punctuation rules, capitalization, all that stuff, that's not emphasized after 8th grade at all. Certainly not in high school, as I'm sure you're familiar with by now, being juniors. You have been left, as a junior in high school, quickly about to enter college, you've been left with a middle school level understanding of English conventions. Those of you who feel like you've studied enough, well, that's only because the only reason those concepts seem complete to you is because you haven't pushed yourself beyond them. You simply don't yet know what you don't know. So I'm going to encourage you to keep an open mind in this course. This course will open your eyes if you give it the chance to do so. Some of the content that I present will even seem counter to some of the things you've learned. One of the most frequent comments I get from students when we work through grammar in my class is that, hey, teacher Y over at X elementary school, she told us that this was the case, or my such and such middle school teacher, he said that this is the rule for that. And it's just not true. And so, what I often tell these students, though, is not to blame those teachers. Oftentimes, elementary and middle school teachers simply taught you the elementary and middle school versions of those concepts because the full blown real rules and concepts you just weren't ready for. High school teachers as well. Another reason why you haven't really had enough grammar is that high school teachers generally aren't knowledgeable of anything more complex than the same eighth grade, middle school level grammar that you've been taught. And it's no wonder it isn't emphasized in high school curriculum, so high school teachers don't go out there and learn this stuff to teach to you. Fortunately, you have me. So, how will this help me? How will this course help me? In a lot of ways. This course incorporates, firstly, a lot of college entrance exam skills. Aside from just learning how to write, this course will help you earn higher scores on your SATs and your ACTs. Directly teach a lot of the SAT writing domains, a lot of the ACT English domains, which are, if you're unfamiliar with the two test names there, those are the sentence correction problems and the revision problems on the ACT, those sorts of things. You're also going to see a lot of practice questions from SAT and ACT sort of spiraled in throughout the lessons so that it will help you practice and prepare for both the SAT and the ACT. The skills taught in this online curriculum will also just help you become more successful in this course. Your reading comprehension and reading speed will improve. And that makes sense because once you better understand all the various ways a sentence can be put together and the various ways that words can be used, you start seeing how they're used in writing much, much quicker, and you understand more sophisticated constructions. Naturally, your writing fluency will improve, much in the same way that we teach you that math teachers teach you how to be really proficient in arithmetic before they start teaching you algebra. Once you understand basic grammatical concepts and syntactic constructs, it's going to help you do the more sophisticated things in a much more fluent way. Finally, I truly believe that a study like this is just good at helping your analytical thinking. You're going to be breaking down sentences, phrases, clauses into their constituent parts, and just doing any sort of analysis, I believe, helps with all analytical thinking. So how does this work? How does this course work? What does it look like? All materials are on the Learning Hub. We will not contribute to this course in any way during class time. That's the whole point of why I've put this on the Learning Hub. We don't have time to do this stuff in class. Things on the Learning Hub you're going to find: lesson videos that go along with each lesson, self-checking exercises that help you learn the concepts, and then finally graded assessments to make sure you've mastered the material. You'll also have review and reassessment opportunities if you don't score high enough on the graded assessments, the quizzes. Each week you're going to be assigned a new lesson. One lesson takes about an hour. I've designed them to take no more than 90 minutes of your time per week. So it's going to take about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how quickly you work, how focused you are on the course, of course. Deadlines are always Mondays at 9 a.m. even if school doesn't meet. At the deadline, what you have completed will be graded, even if you haven't attempted the quiz yet. If you never got around to doing the quiz by 9 a.m., too bad. That's a 0 on the quiz. There will be no additional opportunities to take it. How will this course be graded? How will it look in the grade book? Well, I'm going to score every quiz that you take for each lesson, so that could be 5, 6, or even 7 quizzes per marking period, and all of those will be scored as partial major grades. I know that's kind of weird, scoring a quiz as a major grade, but trust me, the math works out like I need it to. In the end, all quizzes, if you have 4, 5, 6, 7, however many quizzes you do in a single marking period, all of those quizzes will be averaged together, and that average will be worth 15% of your marking period. So this online course here is, on the whole, is worth 15% of your course average. Most assessment scoring is done automatically. You will get immediate feedback on most everything you do. There are a few things that I will have to score manually, things like sentence imitation exercises and sentence and scrambling exercises, those sorts of things. If I have to score it, it's going to take about 48 hours to turn around to you. However, the next lesson will go ahead and open up once you turn it in. You won't have to wait for me to score it. Is this going to be difficult? Well, like everything in this class, that depends on your approach to it. The course is comprehensive, but it is not necessarily complicated. If you commit yourself to learning the material, this will be a lot simpler, a lot easier on your mind. The more you resist, the more difficult this will be. So just get in your mind that you're going to pursue this with all of your energies. You're going to set aside time for it every week, and it's not that difficult. Another thing that makes this course a little bit easier is just understanding how it works. Everything that we do in this course, this online course, is cumulative, because you can't just learn about a simple concept like what are nouns and then move all the way on to adjective phrases without still understanding what are nouns, that sort of thing. So everything has to be cumulative. But that being said, everything is also open note. Also, all assessments offer reassessment opportunities. So use the system in place. It will help you learn. It will help make the course a little bit easier for you. If you try to juke the system, to get around what I've put in place, to take shortcuts, that sort of thing, you won't learn. It's going to make the quizzes a lot more difficult, and you're just not going to get as much out of this course. How can I succeed in this course? Some keys to success. First of all, set aside time each week to work. This is a weekly responsibility. This is not a recurring Sunday night assignment. I know that a lot of you will be able to knock out your lessons regularly in about an hour, but please do not leave this for 9 o'clock Sunday evening. You just won't get as much out of it that way. Also, anytime you leave something till the night before it's due, inevitably you will run into problems, and as my syllabus says, technology problems are your problem, not mine. So make sure that you take care of business before it's too late. Take advantage of all the time I've given you. Also, another key to success, strive to learn from these lessons. I know a lot of you are afraid of grammar because you're, quote, not very good at it, or, it's just kind of a drag because if you feel like you've just covered the same lessons and concepts over and over again for the last few years of school. But as I said earlier, I'm going to push you well past that. It's some sophisticated stuff that you need to know. So strive to learn from these lessons. Take rigorous notes that reflect that inner monologue, that inner communication between you and what you are learning. If possible, complete this course in a quiet place where no one can hear you, and just talk out loud. Talk your way through these lessons and write down in your notes what you're talking about. That will help you make what you're learning permanent. Do not merely copy what you see on the screen. That's a terrible way to take notes. I mean, it's better than nothing, but all you're really doing is kind of making more permanent the words on the screen, not necessarily what they mean. And finally, create your own examples. I'm going to give you a ton of examples of what we're studying, but I encourage you to create your own examples because that helps, helps you take ownership of what you're learning and apply it to something that you understand personally. Lastly, rewatch videos if you missed something. Okay, don't just think, oh, I'll remember that for the quiz. Just go back and rewatch it if you feel like you missed something. If you get to one of the exercises and you don't know the correct answer, you don't even know how to answer it, click the back button or use the left-hand menu to go back and rewatch the video. Please don't do this. Please don't just run to Google and Google search the answer. thing about grammar and grammar theory is that it's much debated between scholars. Concepts are going to, the definitions of terms, the rules, so to speak, are going to vary from source to source. We grammar scholars like to argue about things. Please know that the correct answer is what I give you. So learn what I teach, not what you can find online. I'm not discounting my colleagues in what they say, but at some point we have to say this is the rule you need to learn for my class. So you must learn what I teach, not just what you can find online. A note on note taking. Throughout lessons, key terms that you will really need to emphasize, they'll be colored yellow. Make sure that you mark these clearly in your notes. Make sure that as you're taking notes, you're, circling key terms, putting a big bold box around them, highlighting the key terms like a unified color so that you can quickly find those key terms in your notes. You'll be expected to know these terms on all future assessments, as I said a minute ago. And I don't give you any glossaries or access to dictionaries in class. So, if you're asked about one of these terms, you'll just need to be able to find it in your notebook easily. Cool. Anytime we cover an SAT or ACT skill, you're going to see a symbol marking that. Make sure you mark these clearly in your notes. Maybe choose a different color of highlighter or a different, like draw a diamond around it. I don't know, something like that. Just mark these clearly in your notebooks as well. I also encourage that you make flashcards out of all of the SAT, ACT skills that we see. Just some quick things that you can drill with, because unlike my class, which a lot of the assessments are open note, of course, College Board and the ACT people, they don't let you bring your notebooks in there. So I encourage you to make flashcards. The SAT, ACT skills and rules that we cover, you'll be expected to use those rules in everything that you write for me, or suffer penalties to your grades in those assessments. Will we be tested on any of this in class? As I said, the whole point of putting this online is so that we don't have to take up class time to cover this material. That's not to say that you may not be potentially asked about material from these courses in class. So after a deadline, we're going to consider all study material fair game on any assessment. So you can't simply learn it for the quiz and forget about it. The grammar terms we will use in assignments in class, and the understanding of concepts may also be tested on other assessments. Here's what I mean by that. For example, let's say after I know you've studied coordination and verbals, which is going to be about the middle part of the semester, I may phrase a question on a pop quiz thusly. According to Aristotle, in order for an individual to persuade effectively, he or she must be able to do what three things? Respond with one sentence featuring a coordinate series of verbal phrases. Now, from your reading, you may know exactly what Aristotle said, but you're going to lose credit if you don't know how to phrase it properly like I've said here. I've said to use a coordinate series and verbal phrases. So if you didn't pay attention or take rigorous notes on that lesson, you're going to be in trouble and you're going to get points taken off of that quiz. What do I need to get started on this course? A notebook is highly recommended, like I covered in my syllabus and also on the AP Lang notebook instructions. Taking notes is only required if you fail a quiz and have to take the reassessment. Otherwise, I'm not going to grade you on your notes. It's just a very good idea to do so. It's highly recommended for all of you because it's really hard to go back and find stuff that you forgotten about in the videos. So make sure you're writing some of the concepts down. Yeah. Also, learning is just more effective when you're studying with a pen in your hand. That's actively engaging your brain and not letting your brain just switch into passive observation mode where you're not really absorbing anything. Yeah, that notebook finally can be a valuable reference resource on all kinds of quizzes, namely the quizzes you take with this online course. I want to emphasize again, use other reference materials at your own risk. Okay, different linguists and different grammarians again have different ideas and theories, and there's also a whole lot of morons out there on the internet, both who have good intentions and bad. But regardless, there's a lot of wrong information on the internet. Keep in mind, once again, the right answer is what's presented in my lessons, not necessarily what you find on someone else's website. All right, so how do I get started? Um, when working through any sort of online course like that, it's really simple in the Learning Hub. You just click on one item after the other. You watch this video, and then when you're done, a new item should appear. You watch that, or read that, or take that quiz, that sort of thing. Exercises, assessments, and new lessons will automatically appear and unlock as you complete them. And so, with that, when you're ready to do so, go ahead and begin your first unit on the parts of speech by clicking on the item below this video. Where you clicked on this video, you should now see a new link to Unit 1, the parts of speech.